Greetings, CBC, and welcome to this week's Sunday warm-up. My original intention as I sketched out this series was to go a little bit of a different direction this week. But when I went home yesterday, from the sermon, I couldn't get that ox out of my head that's messing up the clean manger. I kept thinking about and pondering some different things around the ox. I started thinking about it from the perspective of the wisdom of a father to the son, and if I'm the son, and then maybe, as if I've kind of writing a correspondence, a letter back to the father of like, well, you were right. I had a clean manger, I got an ox, and now it's messy, and yet something's happening. I'm not experiencing the abundance of the crops. That maybe there's some other pieces and some other things that could kind of get in the way of our understanding of not an ox and a manger, but what it's speaking to us about community. Community is wonderful and it's beautiful, but it can be so tricky, it can be so difficult, and it can be painful. And so I think there's a lot of wisdom here for us. I want to come back to, and we'll use as a kind of a launching point, Proverbs 14:4 again. And just interact with, okay, quickly, what was the father communicating to the son? What if the son received that message and kind of partially listened to and to what the father said, and then was writing a correspondence back like, Dad, why is it going bad? I started writing out that I think maybe the son could potentially misunderstand the father's teachings. And so I want to come back to like, okay, here's son, here's what I intended to say to you, and here's how we get there. Because if you are blessed with oxen, or if you are blessed with a full home, a full community, that those oxen, that home, that community requires a handful of things, and I want to talk about that. So, for reading this week, certainly just lingering in any part of Proverbs 14:4. We're going to go down a handful of verses. For our main scripture for this week will be Proverbs 14, verse 23. And as a side that fits really well, Proverbs 6, verses 6 to 11, with a bit of the theme that we're looking at here. We're talking about things about work, about faithfulness, about diligence, as opposed to the sluggard. This would be a good time, because we don't have a lot of reading before us to kind of prepare, but to go back through and reread some passages related to the fool. Look at passages related to those differences of how the righteous and the wicked were described. Over the last couple of weeks, things that we've looked at. If you've not gotten a chance to read all of the references to the word righteous in Proverbs, this would be a good time to do that. Make special notes and pay careful attention to how the righteous are being described, how the pathway of the wicked is being described. Look again at the fool, and how often the fool is described as somebody who's not listening to the wisdom and instruction of the words of the Father, how the fool is rejecting that and going their own route and going their own way, how closely associated the fool and the sluggard can become. I'm wondering, and I want to keep lingering more myself, of what are the connections between the pathway that maybe leads towards unrighteousness and wickedness, that begins with maybe sluggardness, it begins with that leads me to foolishness, that leads me to being dismissive of the wisdom of counselors and biblical folks in my life, that then leads me down pathways of unrighteousness, wickedness, ways that are opposed to the calling of God in my life. I want to look at and read the wisdom of the pathway of the righteous, the pathway of wisdom throughout the Proverbs as we've been reading. So a lot of places that we could kind of look and just continue to dig up some things. But I want to practically consider the words and the wisdom again of the Father about the messiness of the manger with the oxen, but the abundance of those crops comes from the strength of the ox, and the diligence and the faithfulness that is required, that really does apply very well to community and what community means and looks like for it to be a healthy, fruitful, growing, biblical kind of community that would bless not only us, but become a light that shines in the community. All right, that's it. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful week. Let's be in prayer together and really just leaning into some of these scriptures, paying special attention to those passages that are really striking a chord with us. And let's bring all that together Sunday and spend some time talking about it. All right, God bless you.